His hands were all over me, and I did not stop him. In fact, I pulled him closer. My back pressed against the cold mirror of the hotel room wall, my breath fogging up the glass as his lips claimed mine in a way that felt dangerous, reckless, and intoxicating. My wedding ring scraped against the mirror when I braced myself, but instead of pulling me back to reality, it only fueled the fire burning inside me. I moaned his name, a name that was not my husband's, and for the first time in my life, I felt what it meant to lose control completely. I knew at that very moment that I had crossed a line I could never erase. Before I continue, let me pause for just a moment to say something important. To everyone watching, I want to thank you for being here. To all my loyal subscribers, you are the heartbeat of this channel, and I cannot thank you enough for your support. To the new viewers and returning ones who are yet to subscribe, I am asking you to do it now. Hit that subscribe button because it is the fuel and energy that keeps me going and makes it possible for me to continue sharing stories like this. And please, do not forget, after you hear this hook, share your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear from you. Now, let me take you back to where it all started. My name is Jessica. I am 34 years old, born and raised in Ohio, living now in a quiet suburban neighborhood outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. I grew up like many American girls do, dreaming of fairy tales, weddings, and happily ever afters. And for a while, it felt like I had gotten exactly that. My husband, Mark, was the good guy. Everyone loved him. He was steady, dependable, loyal, and kind. He had a gentle laugh, a calm voice, and a way of making everyone feel safe around him. When we married, my parents hugged me with tears in their eyes, saying, "You picked a good one." And they were right. But good can also become predictable. We lived in a 2-story home in a neat cul-de-sac where the neighbors waved when you pulled into the driveway. Our life was picture perfect: 2 kids, a Labrador retriever, and weekends filled with family barbecues. Yet beneath the surface of that polished life, something inside me was restless. I began to feel like I was suffocating under the weight of perfection. Mark was always there, always steady, but rarely passionate. Our nights together were tender but routine. I wanted something raw, something untamed, something that made me feel alive instead of safe. And then I met him. His name was Ryan. He was everything Mark was not. Loud, confident, bold, the kind of man who walked into a room and commanded attention without trying. I met him at the gym I had joined to get back in shape after having our second child. But what I really discovered was temptation in human form. Ryan was a personal trainer with a smile that disarmed me the first time he said hello. He was younger than me by 5 years, with arms that seemed carved from stone and a cocky charm that was both irritating and magnetic. He had a way of teasing me that made me blush like a teenager, even though I was a married woman. At first, it was innocent, or at least I told myself it was. A playful laugh here, a lingering touch as he adjusted my posture during a workout, a text message that started about fitness and ended with, "So, what are you doing later?" I ignored the first signs, but inside me, something was waking up. One afternoon, after a workout that left me drenched in sweat and adrenaline, Ryan leaned in close and whispered, "You know, Jessica, you do not belong in a box. I can see it in your eyes. You want more." Those words pierced me deeper than they should have. They echoed in my head long after I drove home, long after I cooked dinner, long after I climbed into bed beside Mark, who kissed my forehead before turning off the light. I wanted more. It began with harmless coffee breaks after the gym. Then it turned into long drives where we would sit in his truck talking about everything: music, regrets, even our fantasies. He was reckless, and I loved how he made me feel. Alive. Desired. Wanted. Mark noticed changes in me. He would say, "You have been smiling more lately. You seem lighter. Happier." He thought it was the gym, the workouts, maybe the endorphins. He never suspected that another man was the spark behind my glow. But deep down, guilt clawed at me. I knew what I was playing with was fire. Yet, every time Ryan touched my hand, brushed his fingers along my thigh, or stared into my eyes like he could see every secret I had ever kept, I felt powerless. The night it finally happened, it was raining. I had told Mark I was staying late for a ladies' night out with a friend. Instead, I met Ryan at a hotel off the highway. I remember every detail. The way the rain streaked across the windshield, the pounding in my chest as I walked through those doors, the way my hands trembled as I slid the key card into the lock. When the door opened, he was there. Shirtless. Waiting. I should have run. I should have left. I should have thought about Mark at home tucking our children into bed. But I did not. Instead, I let Ryan press me against that mirror, his breath hot against my neck, my body betraying every vow I had ever made. I moaned his name as if it was the only truth that mattered in that moment. And in that moment, I became the storm. By the end of that night, I knew life would never be the same. I walked out of that hotel room with my body buzzing, my heart racing, and my conscience shattered. Mark was the good guy. He had given me stability, safety, and a home. But I had unleashed something dangerous, and I knew deep down, storms destroy everything in their path. The morning after that hotel room, I looked at myself in the bathroom mirror while brushing my teeth. I stared hard at the woman staring back at me. My hair was tangled, my lips still swollen from Ryan's kisses, and my skin tingled with the memory of his hands. I was a wife, a mother, a woman who had promised to love and cherish one man until death. And yet, I had just given my body, my soul, and my moans to another. I thought the guilt would crush me, but it did not. Instead, it was the thrill that pulsed through me like a drug. My heart wanted to confess, to fall at Mark's feet and beg forgiveness, but my body craved more. And that craving would not be silenced. Ryan made it easy. He sent me texts all morning. I cannot stop thinking about last night. You taste like fire. When can I have you again? I should have deleted them. Instead, I saved every one of them, rereading them in the laundry room with the dryer humming to cover the sound of my heart racing. At home, Mark was the same as always. He packed the kids' lunches, mowed the lawn, asked me how my day was, and kissed me goodnight. He was gentle, steady, the embodiment of good. But compared to Ryan, it felt like living in black and white after seeing color for the first time. The affair grew quickly. What started in a hotel turned into stolen afternoons. Ryan would pick me up after the gym, and we would drive out to places no one knew us. Sometimes it was another hotel. Sometimes it was the back seat of his truck on a deserted road with the windows fogged up and our clothes scattered. His touch was urgent, his kisses wild, his voice rough with desire. He did not just make love to me, he consumed me. I began lying with ease. Book club. Spa appointments. Helping a friend. The excuses slipped out so smoothly that even I started to believe them. Mark never questioned me. Why would he? He trusted me with the blind faith of a man who had never known betrayal. That trust made me hate myself at times. After an afternoon with Ryan, I would come home and watch Mark laugh with our kids at the dinner table. He would reach across, hold my hand, and say, "I love you." His eyes would shine with sincerity, and I would feel my stomach knot with guilt. But then, late at night, when Ryan's messages lit up my phone, the guilt would vanish, replaced with a hunger that Mark could never satisfy. One night stands out in particular. Ryan rented a cabin in the mountains for the weekend. I told Mark I was going on a girls' retreat. He kissed me on the cheek and told me to have fun. When I arrived at that cabin, Ryan lifted me off my feet the moment I stepped through the door. We did not even make it to the bed at first. He laid me on the floor by the fireplace, the flames casting shadows over our tangled bodies. The crackling would mix with my gasps and his groans. That night, I felt like I was living inside a fantasy, wild, reckless, and forbidden. But reality always came crashing back. On Sunday evening, when I returned home, Mark had cooked dinner. The kids were excited to tell me about their weekend adventures. Mark poured me a glass of wine and rubbed my shoulders, saying, "You deserve a break, Jess. You work so hard for all of us. And I wanted to cry. Because he meant it. He believed every word. The affair was not just physical. Ryan knew how to talk to me in a way Mark never did. He made me feel dangerous, alive, rebellious. He told me I was beautiful, not in the sweet, routine way Mark did, but in a way that stripped me bare and made me believe him. He fed the part of me that Mark never touched, the storm inside me. But storms always attract attention. Mark began noticing small changes. I was distracted at family dinners, late coming home from errands, and distant in bed. He would ask, "Are you tired? Is something bothering you?" I would smile and brush it off. One night, after I had returned from another girls' night, he sat on the edge of our bed and studied me. "You smell different," he said softly. My heart stopped. For a moment, I was sure he knew everything. But then he smiled faintly and added, "New perfume?" I nodded quickly, kissed his cheek, and turned off the light. Inside, my heart pounded. That was the first time I realized how fragile this double life really was. Ryan, on the other hand, grew bolder. He started asking, "When are you going to leave him?" At first, I laughed it off, but I could see the seriousness in his eyes. He wanted more than stolen hours and hidden hotel rooms. He wanted me all to himself. But could I leave Mark? The thought alone made my stomach twist. Mark was my husband, the father of my children, the man who had built a safe life with me. Ryan was passion, danger, chaos. I wanted both. One night, while Ryan and I lay tangled in sweaty sheets, he whispered, "You cannot live in two worlds forever, Jessica. Storms either pass, or they destroy." His words haunted me. I knew he was right. But I was not ready to choose. As the weeks passed, the walls began to close in. My lies grew messier. My excuses thinner. My phone became a ticking time bomb of texts and pictures that could ruin everything. Every time Mark reached for my phone to check the time or play music for the kids, my heart nearly exploded. And yet, I could not stop. The more dangerous it became, the more I craved it. The risk was part of the addiction. Every kiss with Ryan felt like jumping off a cliff, not knowing if I would crash or fly. But deep down, I knew. Storms do not leave beauty behind. They leave wreckage. And my wreckage was coming. The day it all came crashing down was not dramatic at first. It was an ordinary Thursday. The kids were at school, Mark had gone to work early, and I was in the kitchen making coffee when my phone buzzed. Ryan. He had sent me a photo. A risky one. One of those that no married woman should ever have sitting on her phone. I smiled at first, heart racing, already planning how I would sneak away to see him later. But then I heard the door open. Mark had forgotten his wallet. He walked into the kitchen just as I reached for my phone. I panicked. My hand shook as I tried to flip it face down, but it was too late. He had already seen the notification light up. He glanced at me, then at the phone. His eyes narrowed. "Who is Ryan?" My heart stopped. My throat went dry. The kitchen suddenly felt like a courtroom, and I was guilty before the trial even began. I tried to laugh it off, to say he was just a trainer from the gym. But Mark was not a fool. He picked up the phone before I could stop him. He saw the photo. He saw the messages. And in that instant, I watched the man I had married shatter. His face went pale. His hand trembled as he scrolled through the words I had once typed with excitement, words like, "I need you now," and "last night was perfect." His lips parted, but no sound came out at first. When he finally spoke, his voice broke me. "Jess, how could you?" The kitchen was silent except for the hum of the refrigerator and my heartbeat pounding in my ears. I wanted to fall at his feet, to beg for forgiveness, but the truth was already out. There was no undoing it. Tears welled in his eyes. This man who had built a home with me, who had trusted me without question, who had loved me without limits, was standing in front of me, broken. I reached for him, but he stepped back. "Do not touch me." His voice cracked, but it carried a weight I had never heard before. He walked out of the kitchen. Out of the house. And just like that, my safe, steady world crumbled. The days that followed were unbearable. Mark moved into the guest room. He barely spoke to me except when it came to the kids. He looked at me like a stranger, or worse, like an enemy. I tried to explain. I told him I felt trapped, restless, that I had lost myself. But every word felt cheap compared to the betrayal he carried in his chest. At night, I could hear him crying in the guest room. A man like Mark, strong, dependable, unshakable, reduced to tears because of me. The sound haunted me more than anything Ryan had ever whispered. Ryan wanted me to leave. He said, "This is our chance. We can be together without hiding." But when I looked at him, I did not see forever. I saw chaos. I saw a temporary thrill that had destroyed a permanent bond. I did not leave with him. I could not. But I could not stay with Mark either. The house became suffocating. Meals were silent. The kids sensed the tension, asking, "Why is Daddy sleeping in the other room?" I had no answers. Eventually, Mark told me he could not do it anymore. He filed for separation. He said he loved me once, maybe still did in some broken way, but he could never look at me the same. Trust, he said, was not something he could rebuild. And I knew he was right. The divorce was quiet, civil even. No screaming matches, no courtroom battles. Just a slow, painful death of what we once had. He got the house. I moved into a small apartment on the other side of town. The kids split their time between us, their little hearts carrying the weight of choices they never made. Ryan? He was gone within months. The passion fizzled when the secrecy disappeared. Without the thrill of the forbidden, there was nothing left. Just emptiness. I would lie awake at night in that small apartment, staring at the ceiling, thinking of the storm I had unleashed. I destroyed the good man who loved me. I broke a family that was once whole. And for what? A few nights of passion that now felt like ashes in my mouth. Mark moved on. Slowly. Carefully. I saw him one afternoon at a school event, talking to another woman. His smile was different now, wiser, guarded, but real. I knew he would rebuild. Me? I am still learning to live with the wreckage I caused. People like to believe storms are beautiful, that they bring rainbows after the destruction. But not all storms are like that. Some storms tear down homes, uproot lives, and leave nothing but broken glass behind. I was that storm. And Mark, he was the good guy who never deserved to be caught in it.